Hello, hello, hello to my YouTube crew. I wanted to do this video because one, I wanted to give an update because I want this to be not only an opportunity for me to help someone else with my story by listening. I also want to use this as a reference point where I can like have a live journal, right? Where not only it can help someone else, but it's also memory for me, right? Where I can go back and reminisce on the times where I'm looking at old videos where I was in different situations. So I say all of that to say that in this video, I just wanted to talk about the lesson that I learned about one, being irresponsible with your money, and two, kind of taking people for granted. And what do I mean by taking people for granted? Taking people for granted meaning that you become dependent on people saving you and fixing your problems for you, that you don't become responsible for yourself and you make your problems someone else's problems. So I'm gonna just talk about this is when I first just got this harsh lesson of reality, right? I'm the only child with my mother. And I was raised as the only child, so there is a sense of spoiledness that comes with it, but there is a dark side to being the only child, and people who are the only child knows exactly what I mean to the dark side of it. But from outside looking in, it looks like it's a great place to be because you have a parent, you have all these material things because the parent only has one child to be responsible for as opposed to multiple. So from the outside looking in, it looks different. Long story short, the truth about that was the fact that my mother only had one child. My mother did have the resources to take care of me and the things that I needed and the things that I wanted, right? So I was living with my mother well into my 20s. So I was about, I think I was like, was I 20? Yeah, I might have been between like 19, 20, maybe the most 21. So I was the type of person where I would get paid. I always had a job. I would get paid and I would just blow my money. I would blow my whole check on whatever I needed to do for the weekend. Right? So if that was to get my hair done, go out, hang out, and things were different back when I was 20 as opposed to now. Okay, we're gonna watch this car go by. Cause that's just gonna happen. See, you see how like the spirit and energy just gotta move. It just gotta move. It can just never be still. So anyway, back to the story at hand. I was at a place where I was extremely irresponsible with my money. Okay, where I would blow my money, and then the things that I needed to take care of as far as my transportation to get back and forth to work or whatever I needed to do, I will always be whining and crying. So mama was like, oh, could you help me? Could you help me? Could you help me? And 95% of the time my mother was doing it, she would help me. She would leave me stranded. So I took it for granted. I took it for granted a lot. So a lot of times I would just be calling her because I needed it. And she would get sick of me doing it and got aggravated, and but she would still help me because I was her only child. So now I remember it was this one day, like I said, I had to be about 2021. I had just hung out for the weekend. I was gonna get paid. I already had my money to the side as far as getting back and forth to work, so that was already to the side, and I was gonna get paid like that Wednesday, and this was like Sunday, and I was coming home from the weekend. So I spent my last $20 instead of me spending money and making sure I was able to get home. I spent my last $20 on what? Some weed. Yes, I did. And anybody that's on my channel and you discover my channel from a short, you know exactly what that means. So I spent my last $20 on some weed. And I said, okay, well, at least I have me some weed, and then, I got everything else I need, but how am I going to get home? I don't have to worry about getting home because I can call my mother, and she'll come get me from where I'm at, and I'll be able to get home. So, I'm on my way home on Sunday. Do we have cell phones at this time? No, it wasn't no cell phones at this time. Was it cell phone? No, it wasn't no cell phone because I think I called her from a pay. Was I calling from a payphone? Yeah, I think I called her from a payphone because this was a little while ago, right? So I called her. Right, exactly, it wasn't no cell phones. I called her from a payphone. And I remember calling my mother, and I was at the train station, and I couldn't get home because it took me either the buses had stopped running because it was Sunday, so there was no bus that was going from the train station to my house. And the only other option was to get my mother to drive me there because I definitely ain't have money. Now that's $20. I would have been able to spend $15 on that, and I would have been able to get a cab home. But I ain't want to do that. I went and got my weed and took care of my business, and I came back with no money. So I called my mother up, like, Mom, listen, could you come get me from the train station? Now, mind you, my mother already had her little thing going. She already had her little date going. She had her little boo over there. Like, my mother had her whole little setup going on over there. So I can't even really knock her for what the end result's going to be. So I call her up and I'm telling her, like, oh, listen, Mom, I'm at the train station. I need to get home. And she was like, okay, well, what you want me to do? You need to get home. Who problem is that? I said, well, Mom, what you mean who problem is that? Like, I need to get home. Like, I'm standing here. I don't have no money. The bus don't run on Sunday. So she was like, well, didn't you have money to go hang out for the weekend? I was like, yeah, but I had spent all my money. She was like, but didn't you know you had to get home? I was like, yeah, and, gave some kind of BS excuse. She was like, listen, so my question to you right now is, what would you do if I wasn't here? Like, if your mother didn't exist at all, what would you do? And I said, I don't know. She said, well, then you're going to have to figure it out because I'm not stopping what I'm doing to come get you. And hung up the phone. Now, mind you, where I'm at, where I need her to pick me up from, I'm at least 3 miles away from the house. At least 3 miles. So I would say no more than 5 miles, but at least 3 miles. A nice little 10-minute, 15-minute ride with traffic, So it was close, but it wasn't that close. So anyway, when she hung up on me, mind you, I had heels on because I was fly for the weekend. So I literally just start crying. Like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? So now God was like, walk. I said, walk? I said, but this is New Jersey. This ain't New York streets. Like, this is like hills. This is valleys. These are dark streets. Like, it's not all this pavement. Like, and I got heels on. Like, I'm coming up with all of these reasons on why I can't walk. And while I was sitting there at that train station crying for a few minutes and making all these excuses on why I can't walk, I sat there and said to myself, the only thing I'm doing is wasting time. And I took them shoes and accepted the fact that my feet was going to hurt, and I started walking home. And it took me an hour and a half to get home from that walk. That was an hour and a half walk for me to get home. But I would never forget walking home, especially when she said to me, what would you do if I wasn't here? I said to myself, I would never put myself in that situation again where I can't get my needs met. I would never do that again. And God was talking to me the whole time while I was walking home. Like, you can't blame this on nobody but yourself. This is your learning lesson, but I bet you won't do it again, because that's how me and God talk. Because God will let me know, I bet you won't do that again, and He was right, because I wasn't doing that again. It wasn't happening. It just wasn't happening. So I got that lesson in my 20s. So to bring it to a current situation I'm going through, I'm dealing with a family member that I just met, right? So it's a family member. It's a first line of, family. It's not like they're like second generation, third. Like, it's the first line, so it's a close line of family. But I don't know them. I haven't been around them. I don't know them, right? And I've had my distance from. That's one thing about us as families, as black people. I'm not saying other cultures don't go through it, but we will segregate ourselves from our family. Please believe. So, I haven't seen Tim in years. Long story short, just recently, I've been around him. And the inconvenience for me is that when he's around me, he is a financial dependency. What do I mean by financial dependency? Like, everything you need to be okay and be comfortable, I gotta pay for. I gotta pay for you to eat. I gotta pay for you to smoke. I gotta even sometimes pay for you to smoke things that I don't even smoke. Right? Like Black and Milds. I don't smoke Black and Milds and stuff like that, but I gotta pay for you to have that so that way you could be good. Right? And then you don't get cheap things to eat. You get things that cost money to eat, and I'm comfortably paying for that. Right? And I'm looking out because this is my cousin. This is what I've been doing for a long time. That's like, my cousin's been extremely dependent on me because I've always been that cousin or relative where I'm looking out for the whole fucking cookout. Right? So for the last few weeks, he's been really like dependent on that. And that's been a problem, right? Because now his problems becomes my problems. And that's not how it works, right? Because I got all kind of problems. And guess what? Not one problem can he solve. And not one problem did I go to him and ask him to resolve, right? But you got all these problems that you want me to resolve on top of you being a financial dependency. And the only thing that I'm getting in return out of this is entertainment. Like, it's like watching a reality show on television. Like, I'm not gaining anything from it. Like, it's not pouring back into my cup. I'm not learning anything. I'm not inspired. I'm not positively influenced. If anything, it's keeping me in a dark space where I'm trying to come out of. Right? If anything, this is a hold Satan can have and help influence me and bring me back into a place where I'm not trying to be because of this affiliation with family. Because if this wasn't family, like this wouldn't even be existing right now. Like, people can't even exist in my space like this right now if this wasn't for family. So that's why this is a major problem, right? But I say all of that to say is that he was just in a situation where he put himself in a situation like how I put myself in that situation with my mother. Expect me to stop what I'm doing, inconvenience myself to come save you out of a situation that you put yourself in, but you had the resources to save yourself, but you still put yourself in it, and now you want me to stop what I'm doing to come rescue you, and I refuse to. Right? And of course he's upset, and of course he's angry, because why wouldn't he be? I was upset and pissed off and angry with my mother when she did it to me. So of course, right? And it took years before I got the lesson. But for a long time, even though I was saying to myself, I won't put myself in a situation again, I kept blaming my mother. I just thought she wasn't, being a good mom, when I didn't realize that I was being an ungrateful bitch. Excuse my French. right? I was being a dependency and an ungrateful bitch. So that's exactly what's going on with this one. Like you want me to come stop what I'm doing, come to your rescue when you're being ungrateful and you have all the resources to get yourself out of the situation. You want somebody to come save you. And it's not happening. And the only thing that I pray for is that he gets the lesson. And I say all of this to wrap up this video so that way it's not long-winded, is that, you know, get to a point where you become grateful and you realize when you're being some level of dependency or something. Because sometimes it don't have to be a dependency just financially. Sometimes you could be just draining somebody's energy because you got all these problems. Right? So somebody just listening to you for hours about your problems could be just so draining. Right? So the message overall is to say, be conscious how you treat people, right? Don't take people for granted, because especially people who rock with you, right? And one thing I can say about my mother rocked with me, right? I go through a lot of changes with my mother, but my mother is never going to leave me out there in the cold and dismantled and I'm hurting, and she's not going to come and try to help me. But if I needed to get a lesson and she needed to shut that door so I could get that lesson, she absolutely would. But through the grace of God, I got the lesson. And I'm hoping that people out here, you get the lesson too, just like I had to get the lesson. And I still got many more lessons to get. But that's the one lesson that I did receive. And I'm hoping that by you listening to this, you're able to receive that too, because it still aligns to God, right? And how does this align to God? It shows a level of appreciation to all that God is giving you, right? As far as the air that you're breathing, right? Like the fact that I even had the opportunity to walk home. I had 2 working legs that can actually bring me to my home, right? Like I had all of the resources that I need in order to survive. But we as humans, we get so comfortable with convenience, especially since society pumps convenience on us, that when we gotta really, really go at it and work, we got a problem. And I had a problem in my 20s, let alone with the problems y'all got now. And that was back in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Late 90s, early 2000s I'm talking about. This ain't nothing recent. So the entitlement, we got to work on. I know that we want to be these great parents, excuse me, to our children. You want to be these great parents to your children. And sometimes you hinder your children because you make yourself always available to them. So I know quite a few of you got that message. I love you and I thank you. And I appreciate everybody who's really been trying to support me and look out and try to be updated on, what I'm going through in this journey of changing, right? And I'm still struggling. And people who are listening, and like I said, if you're here from one of my shorts, you know exactly what I mean by that. I'm still working on it. And that's the honest truth. And I haven't given up on myself. What my new affirmation that I say to myself is, I deserve not to be high. That's my new affirmation. I deserve not to be high. My body and my mind deserves not to be high. So that's my new motivation. So continue to support. Thank you so much. I will give everybody a hug and a little mwah. And thank you. Enjoy.